Guys, today we're talking about aftermarket bumpers for the GR86 and the BRZ because I actually just ordered one. Super excited to get it in 3 months when it actually shows up, but in doing my research, I realized that there's actually not that many narrow body aftermarket bumpers on the market for these cars. So we're gonna be going through 12 of them today. I actually only found 12. So if I'm missing any, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'm sure I missed a couple. But these are gonna be all the bumpers that are available that aren't a part of full wide body kits, okay? If I included wide body kits, it'd be a much longer video, but I think personally a bumper replacement to a full wide body where you're cutting your fenders, doing side skirts, it's a big jump, right? So if you're looking for something just to switch it up a little bit on the front end, this video should serve as kind of a point of reference for you just so you can see what's out there. And if you like this format, check out my other ultimate guide videos. I've done these for exhaust systems, cold air intakes, and strut bars. Real quick before we jump into it, if you're wondering my opinions on wide body, my top 5 wide body kits for this platform would go ADRO, Voltex, Street Hunter, Robot Craftsman, and then probably LibertyWalk. Anyway, enough about that. Leave a like and subscribe, and we're gonna jump right in. Narrow body bumpers for the 86 and BRZ. Again, looks are subjective, right? So if you don't agree with my rankings, let me know in the comments kind of where you disagree. I think regardless of personal preference, we can all probably agree on last place, and that is the Result Japan narrow body bumper for the 86 and BRZ. You know, I think the biggest thing you'll notice is just the lack of like cohesive design here when it comes to pairing this front bumper with the rest of the car. Now, yes, I'm sure if you're throwing this on your 86, you're probably already at a point in your build where you've got some other aesthetic mods that kind of support a more flashy look like this, but regardless, it's still a relatively smooth and like flowing design from factory. And this thing looks like it comes straight off of a Lamborghini Urus with all these jagged edges. You know, I do like the use of negative space in bumpers, but I just can't get over this massive horizontal line and these sharp edges. Again, it's not all bad. I do like the integrated front lip. I like the little air duct, and I know that's functional because our air scoop is right behind that. But you know, the eyelids, they're not for me. I don't think the fog lights are integrated well either. They just kind of sit in these like circular housings that don't really match with the rest of the surface area, and all the hard lines and chamfers just really kind of throw me off. Now, I didn't go to design school, so forgive me if I'm missing something here, but I think putting this in last place is pretty justified. I think you guys might agree with me, but F tier, moving on. Number 11, we got the Kobe Tarumi, AKA the Supra knockoff bumper. Although it's not poorly executed, it's more so the concept here that I just can't quite get behind. You know, when you're building your car, the number one word of advice from me is always gonna be, don't try to be something you're not, right? If you want a Supra, save up, get a Supra. Don't just slap a bumper on and call it a day, right? Unless you think this is funny and you're trolling, like self-awareness is a different story, but if you're unironically running this and trying to tell people that you've got a Supra, stop it. Stop right now. Now from a design perspective, it's actually not bad. It's a good take on the Supra bumper. You know, you've got a similar lower lip and the vents on the sides are actually functional, unlike the Supra. However, I don't think the airflow is in a good spot here. You've got a lot of like flat black plastics and like closed off vents in the middle. I also can't tell if that center grille is actually even open or if it's completely closed. And then you've got that inner headlight accent that kind of imitates the Supra's factory headlights. In all honesty, I don't think this looks terrible, but please don't buy this. D tier, moving on. Number 10, you've got the Aimgain GT-S bumper for 1,800 bucks. This one's a pretty subtle change from the OEM 86 bumper, but people are calling this the Prius Prime bumper. And at least in the lower half, I don't think it's too much of a difference, but once you move up to the top, all the changes get a little bit more pronounced. They connect the headlights with this body line that basically cuts through the nose of the grille and has like inner vents and inner headlight accents. So you also get this similarly shaped grille to the regular 86, but it does have this like mustache looking piece on the top, which kind of reminds me of like the first gen BRZs. You also have side air vents that are functional. They're taller and they've got 2 strakes now instead of just the 1 from factory. And then this kit also does come with eyelids if that's your thing. Again, pretty subtle changes, but the changes they make really do make a difference. I think this looks you know, noticeably different coming down the street from any, you know, factory 8.6. Personally, not my top choice. Like I said, a lot of people are calling this the Prius Prime. I don't know about that, but again, little front lip on the bottom, lots of airflow, not bad. Not my style, but not terrible. I'm gonna go C tier for this. In ninth place, we got the INGS N-Spec bumper coming in at 1700. This one's a little bit more rare. I don't really see this in the wild very often. I do think it works pretty well with the full INGS body kit. The nose is stretched forward and then the front grille is shortened and widened, which again makes the whole bumper feel wider visually. You do also get a gloss black lip, which I believe is separate, but it flows well with the body. Plenty of airflow to that intercooler or radiator. Although I do think the verticals in that center grille, they look a little bit out of place. They don't really match the other lines on this design. The other thing I see here, obviously the side vents are functional, but they're almost like too pronounced for the body. They look like a mouth that's getting stretched open with one of those like dentist tools. You know, I'll put a picture, you know what I'm talking about. I bet you can't unsee that now, but overall not a bad design. You know, I'd put it in ninth place. I'm gonna go like high C tier, maybe low B tier. Let's go B tier. Coming in at number 8, we got the AXEL kit for 2,300 bucks. Another pretty rare bumper here. Not a ton of information on this. I know AXEL's the manufacturer. Pretty aggressive design. They've got this integrated front lip that matches the rest of the body kit pretty well. One thing I don't like is the vent in the nose isn't functional. Probably could have done without that. It just kind of serves as like an air brake at this point. But I like the grille shape. It's a little bit closer to the first gen facelifted GT86. Not bad, but honestly for the price, it's not super memorable. I'm gonna go low B tier for this one. Again, none of the cars in the top 10 are bad designs, don't get me wrong, but I gotta rank them, so that's where we're going. Coming in at number 7, we got the M Sports bumper for 2,100. Yet another bumper you probably haven't heard of. This is built as part of a full wide body kit, but similar to like LibertyWalk, the bumper is narrow, and then the wide body fender flares go on over top. So you have the choice to just run the narrow body bumper solo if you want. And personally, I think this looks great. I love the contrast with the black accents. They really widen the look of this car visually, even though it's not actually a wide body bumper. I do really like the long nose that comes out. That's probably my favorite feature on any bumpers, when they kind of lengthen that nose a little bit further. One thing I will say, the front lip on this would probably look too heavy without the rest of the kit. Unless that outside splitter is detachable, I can't quite tell. But overall, a solid design. I think it flows really well at the slope of the hood and just the natural body lines of the car. So we're going C tier for this one. Actually, no, we're gonna go low B tier. Coming in at number 6, we got the Shibata Motorsports Street Type A bumper for 1,800 bucks. Now this is being called the Porsche bumper on the forums. That's Porsche with 2 O's, as in poor man's Porsche. It's similar to like a 911 or a Cayman front bumper with like the shape of the air intakes. And I think honestly, it's not a bad design for the rest of the 8.6's body lines. People already say that these cars look similar to like a Cayman. And I don't think they're wrong there, but I will say without a lip or any real details on this thing, it definitely looks aftermarket. I think if this thing came with like an integrated front lip or some black accents, it would feel a little bit more like holistic, but just looking at it at first glance, it kind of reminds me of like a Duraflex bumper, which isn't a good thing. Not bad, I'm gonna go low B tier. Coming in at number 5, LibertyWalk. Now this might be a hot take. We all know LibertyWalk. Similar to the M Sports bumper, this kit is part of a full wide body kit where the fender flares are bolted on over it. So this gives you the option again to just run it solo. A buddy of mine on Instagram, he just put this on his car. He's got a red 8.6. I'll throw some photos up of that. I think it looks phenomenal. This is one of those designs where they really just kind of like take the existing features and character of the front bumper and accentuate them and make them like more aggressive. Similar trends to what we've already seen on this list. It's got that long nose that stretches forward. It's got a shorter grille that is wider and makes the car seem visually wider. And they also retain those side air ducts in both their shape and the functionality. So again, this looks super similar to the OEM 8.6 bumper, just a little bit more aggressive. It's like they just turned it up a couple notches. Really good looking bumper, tons of airflow, all around solid. I'd say this is like high B tier for me, especially for the price. 1,100 bucks, I mean, that's not bad at all. So coming in at number 4, we got the Robot Craftsman Shinning? I don't know. It's a narrow body bumper, only $900. Now, you've probably heard of Robot Craftsman. They make, in my opinion, the best wide body kit on the market for the first gen 86 and BRZ, and they absolutely cooked with this one too. They do also have a second gen wide body kit, but the narrow body kit definitely hits pretty hard. Again, it's part of a full kit. You can run just the bumper. I think the entire body kit is phenomenal. Like I said, Robot Craftsman is in my top 5 wide body designs too for the second gen, but this bumper completely changes the look of the front of the car. It looks like a completely different vehicle. It's got a stretched nose, it's got some side air ducts that are, you know, kind of on the outside there, but they are functional. Integrated front lip, and features that visually widen the grille more than it actually is. I do really like the kind of like carbon accents and the black graphics that they have on here. I think that's probably how I would paint this bumper as well. And then the headlight eyeshadow kind of stuff they got going on, it's not bad either. Overall, just a really solid design, and I think this is probably the bumper on this list that is the most different from OEM out of everything that we've seen so far, in a good way too. I think they've gone in a good direction, and again, this is a pretty popular kit. I've seen this at a few shows already, so probably A tier. I'm gonna say low A tier for Robot Craftsman. Breaking into the top 3, we got VARIS Arising-2 in 3rd place. This is coming in at $2,400. One of the best looking bumpers in my opinion. It looks like a lot of other VARIS bumpers that they have for other cars, but again, everything here works well with the VARIS body kit or the existing design from factory. You got functional venting, an expanded grille, a nose that connects well to the lines on the hood, pretty beefy front lip that looks like it's a separate add-on. Everything just works well together here. Nothing too crazy, just a well-executed design. I do really like the gloss black accents in the middle. That's probably how I would do the paintwork here. Again, they do make the grille seem a little bit wider than it is. The other thing, the company, VARIS, they're a pretty track-focused brand, and I'm sure this thing is probably tested for, you know, low drag, high downforce, all the stuff you want in a body kit. The only thing I would criticize here is some of the architecture inside that center grille opening just seems a little bit random, you know, with just the angles and the lines everywhere. But honestly, I don't care. Solid bumper, high A tier, that's 3rd place for me. Coming in 2nd place, we have the ADRO facelifted front bumper at $1,900. Now, we all know ADRO. They make some pretty insane kits for BMW M cars, M3, M4, the A91 Supra, and they also have what I think is my favorite wide body kit on the market for the 2nd gen 86. It's got these like Lamborghini-esque side air intakes. And then they just recently dropped this banger 6 days ago. It's a narrow body bumper. It can be ran with the stock fenders, super long nose that kind of cuts back in, which I like. Gives it almost like a shark nose design. Pretty short grille with like dedicated air ducts in the inside. And there's no chicken wire mesh. It's all actual like struts and like, you know, just bulky looking architecture inside that grille that doesn't look aftermarket, which I like. They do also have some side air vents. They're partially blocked off. I assume that's to reduce parachuting, but then they do also retain that functional venting just on the very outside corners. And I'll show that here. You can see it better from the back, kind of how that works. It does come with eyelids that flow into some pretty interesting accents on the inside corners of the headlights. And then you also got a carbon fiber lip that's integrated pretty well. I do really like this one. I think it's a lot closer in design to the OEM BRZ bumper than the 86, just with the shape of those air ducts and things like that. But, you know, with a few design tricks here, they found a way to not only lower the center of gravity and increase downforce on this bumper, but also make the bumper visually look wider than it is, even though it's not. Honestly, my only criticism of this one is the way that they've integrated their eyelids into the design with like this black eyeshadow on the inside corner of those headlights. And what that means is if you take those eyelids off, the black accents are gonna look kind of random without that line to sort of flow into them. But again, ADRO's motto is literally not for everybody. So I guess they're sticking to their guns there. But low S tier for me, really like this bumper. And yeah, that's number 2. And finally, guys, last but not least, in the top spot, we have Voltex for $3,000. It's pretty pricey. I will say, honestly, the gap between 2nd place and 1st place, it's pretty big. I think this is the perfect bumper for this car. I think it fits the existing design language well, and it is so minimalist, right? It leaves you with this like clean, effortless design language that doesn't really seem like it's trying too hard. I love that integrated wet carbon lip. It's got those signature like Voltex downturns on the sides that match like the Voltex rear diffuser. It's kind of like a signature Voltex thing. The one thing I don't like on this is the chicken wire kind of mesh grills that you have in the middle and on the sides. I prefer like the solid like struts that you see in the ADRO grill. This feels a little bit aftermarket, but again, I'll let it slide because of how wide that grill is, how much airflow you're getting to either your radiator or your intercooler. And I really can't find anything else to criticize here. You know, the black accents are similar to the stock 8.6 lines, so you can kind of run this on a car that either has the full Voltex wide body kit or is, you know, OEM plus. Just a super tasteful design overall, and I think it earns top spot. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, 12 bumpers that I could find. I'm sure there's more out there, so if you have any that you like, that I missed, feel free to drop in the comments below. And just so you know, I put my money on the ADRO Facelift front bumper. It literally just came out last week. They're having like a 10% off sale for like the first 86 buyers. I'm sure that's over now, but I got in there just in time. Really like how aggressive it is. I like all the functional venting. I think it flows really well with just my existing side skirts from Sabre Designs. I've got these carbon side skirts that jut out really far, and then they've got these like fender garnishes that connect up to the top of my fender vents. It's pretty aggressive, and I wanted a front bumper to kind of match that, so that's sort of why I went that direction. I also like the fact that they list all of their like drag coefficients and downforce measurements online. Again, it's more of a show car daily type build for me, but I like to at least know that my parts are built and designed with like the track in mind. So that's kind of why I went that direction. Again, I also really wanted a front bumper because I'm an idiot and I only PPF'd my fenders and my hood, not the front bumper. So after a year of ownership, I've got some rock chips, let's just put it that way. They're not super visible, but I know they're there, and that's what really bugs me. So yeah, you'll probably see this on my car in November. Again, it is made to order. So after getting it painted and PPF'd, it's gonna be closer to Christmas before this is actually on my car on the channel. But I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. But for now, guys, please leave me a like. Feel free to comment, subscribe if you like my content. Keep an eye out for my next video as well. I'm gonna be breaking down all the best enthusiast cars on the used market in every price bracket. So that's going from 5K to 65,000. It's gonna be a long video. I've been editing for quite a while now, but it's gonna be a good one. So until then, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot. My name's Zach, and I'll see you in the next one.